Good morning, dudes. We're gonna talk about version control today. So, what is version control? Version control is a strategy that lets multiple users work on the same files while maintaining the original files intact. All the changes made to the files are stored in a new version so the other users can see the updated project. This enhances the collaboration between a team of developers. Every version has a datetime and a user to modify it, so you can keep track of all the versions and not get lost as our buddies here do. So, a version control system is a system that allows you to manage multiple revisions of the same unit of information, like documents, source files, or any other item of that source. Multiple users can interact with the same files. So this enforces discipline because it manages the process by which the control of the item passes from one person to another. It allows you to archive the versions of all the files that were modified and maintain the information about who modified a version, when did they modify it, and what did they modify. This enhances the collaboration experience because anybody can see what each other worked on, and also it guarantees that the project will be updated safely. You can recover from any unwanted modifications or deletions, as any previous version can be accessed at any time. And if you're using a centralized version control system, you can save this space, as there was there is only going to be one repository with all the files, and the users only access that repository and update the files. So there are two types of version control systems: centralized version control and distributed version control. So what is centralized version control? Basically, centralized version control uses only one repository from which every other user commits changes made to it. This is not used anymore because distributed version control practically ran over it. But we can see an example here of a repository that only has Mills on it. So Stu modifies that repository after Stu. Afterwards, Joe modifies it. After Eve modifies it, and we can see there are different versions of the repository with the changes made to it. So in a distributed version control, there's not one repository, but each user has their own copy of the whole repository. So when I want to modify the repository, first I had to pull the repository from a central repository from which everyone has to share information with. So I pull the information from that repository to my own repository. Then I modify any file that I want to modify. I commit that change to my repository, and then I push my repository to the central repository. So this guarantees that every change that I make is going to be let's say, is going to be successfully added to the central repository. In the example here, we can see that every user makes their own modification to a repository, and then wham, it's added in here to the central repository. So, what are the differences between each other? Mainly the repositories. Centralized version control systems only has one repository, and this means that the clients, the users, don't need to have the whole copy of that repository in their computers. So there's less disk space involved. But since nowadays memory is not that expensive, having a distributed version control system is actually better. And we can see that as GitHub being a distributed version control system is the most popular option today. So there are a lot of open source version control softwares, and we have some of them here. But basically, all the centralized version control softwares are kind of old and outdated. And definitely Git eradicated all of them and became the choice to have right now. Still, we have a lot of options of open source software for version control, and you might want to take a look at them because every one of them can be useful for your own development project. Yeah, so that's basically it. That's version control. Thank you for your time.